Recording in progress.
Hello, so how to market accounting and bookkeeping services. Now, you could be the best accountant in the world, but if no one knows about you, you won't get any clients. And I know that might sound, kind of mean or just like, man, well, I thought it was about how much experience I have but honestly, it's really not about the level of experience you have, the skill level you have. That helps once you have gotten the client, and that can help in terms of like the price point you can charge in a lot of cases, but if the person never even knows you exist, you're never going to sit in front of them to charge them the price you need to. So let's kind of talk about marketing. So marketing is essential because right now there's a lot of new people coming into the market. So I kind of made a video about this. At the beginning of every year, I kind of do a reflection on the accounting and bookkeeping industry as a whole. And one thing that we notice is there's a flood of new accountants and new bookkeepers trying to basically compete to take your potential clients. Now, some people might be like, oh, it's so sad, or it's, why is that happening, or but even though, yes, it is kind of sad, and it is kind of like, oh my gosh, there's more competition, rather than kind of, be upset that it's happening, it's better and more effective and more profitable for you to just figure out how you can stand out amongst the crowd, right? Now, here's the interesting thing. The competition from people that are new to bookkeeping is growing, but the competition of people that have been inside of like the accounting field for 30 or 40 years is dropping drastically. So the higher level competition is dropping, but the lower level like first business is growing. So what that means is, yes, there's more competition, but it's really just more faces who don't know how to market, and the real competition is actually dropping out of the space, right? Because the only people you should have a problem like getting clients over is people where it's like, I have 50,000 years experience, right? Because it's like if they have 50,000 years experience, they have 100, 200 bookkeeping clients. Okay, that can be a little tough to kind of compete with, and if you don't have really good sales skills or good marketing. But if you're just competing with other people that just started their business, the competition level is the bar for you beating them is not quite as high. Let's put it like that. So you should be both excited and just ready to kind of put in the work, learn this skill set, and go and grow. Now, some common mistakes to see when it comes to marketing. So we'll first talk about like what are some of the mistakes, and we'll talk about like how to fix them. So number one, branding and positioning. Now, a lot of people do this incorrectly. They do stuff like 3 reasons why you should hire a bookkeeper. Or they'll make like a really cool graphic on like Canva, and it's like, an infographic about like bookkeeping. But really, branding and positioning is about learning how to communicate your values, your worldview, and your life story in a cohesive way. Their business owners fully understand why you're different, and they actually feel connected to you. Okay, that's a key thing. When I used to think about branding when I first got started, I was like, oh, I have to have a really good logo. My website has to be great, and there is a time and a place for that. But it's not really in the way you think, right? Because okay, so let's think about it. So on your LinkedIn, which do you think is going to give you more credibility? That you have a website, or that you have a LinkedIn profile with 200 plus different blog posts that you've made one per week for the last like 2 to 3 years? It's going to be the history that people can see and watch your trajectory and your growth over that time frame, that time period. So what that means is that people feel connected to people more than they feel connected to like a website. So that's number one, okay? So when you're doing your branding, it's like, what is making you different? Like how did you grow up? Where did you grow up? I have people where it's like they will only work with me because we grew up in the same place. Or some of my nationality is Trinidadian, right? So I'm like half African American, half Trinidadian, right? That's like a place by Trinidad and Tobago. So some people actually work with me because they're also from like an island like the Bahamas, Tobago, etc., Haiti, etc., right? So that's one thing, right? Another thing that people like work with me because like maybe they're a person that likes to do traveling, and if you've seen like the last like 2 years, I've done a lot of traveling recently. I have people that want to work with me because I'm a man, right? There are some people that only want to work with women, right? So it's like you have to be able to express who you are in the most relatable, wide-ranging way you possibly can so that the widest percentage of people have the opportunity to actually connect with you. Now, that's number one, okay? Now, another reason why it's super important is because it builds credibility. So, what people don't think and don't really understand is that the more someone hears from you and hears about you and like what you're doing, the more that they feel that you're very credible and you know what you're doing. You could just be like totally have no skill in something, but the fact that people see you consistently, they feel like you know everything. And like I'm not recommending that you know nothing, right? And just like be a talking head, but the fact of the matter is that the more that you post, the more that you share about yourself, your journey, and like what's going on every day by day, week by week by week, the more that you're going to make money over time. Now, you might have heard in the past where I've said like you don't need to make content. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that you need to make content, but it's like if you want to have a business where marketing gets easier over time, and once you have a certain number of followers on your social media account, you don't need to do anything else except for just make a post, then that's where it's important. So I'll give you an example. I have students like for example, one of my students named Audrey said 25 grand per month in her business, and she uses like LinkedIn as her primary. She never posts, right? So you don't need it to post or need to post to get clients, but it will just make everything easier because when you have the people from LinkedIn that have seen your post, when they come on the call, they like you more, they've already made up their mind they want to buy, and they're probably more willing to stretch whatever their perceived budget is than if they didn't know anything about you. Next thing is that, so if you don't make content, you always have to go and like build your audience to find new people that are already predisposed to want to have accounting or bookkeeping in their business. But there's a lot of clients that potentially could use your services if they understood why they should do it and they just believe that you're the person to go to. Like, people will create spots for you if they feel that you are like gonna help them out. So that's one thing that content allows you to do because you can tell people why they need bookkeeping. You see, one thing that I see a lot of people struggle with is they argue with business owners in one-to-one settings. That means, okay, at the end of your consultation call, the business owner says, I don't see how I can use your services. And you're like, well, this is how you can use it. This is why I should use it. And like you kind of argue back and forth. Like, well, this is why you need a bookkeeper, right? That's too late there. You don't argue with people. Same thing in like LinkedIn Messenger. I used to be like, when I would message people for my accounting services, they'd be like, I don't really want an account right now. Or I already have someone in place. And I'd argue back and forth with them in Messenger. And I had this business coach, and this business coach is like, bro, don't argue with people Messenger, argue with them in your content, because it's a one-way conversation. I was like, huh? So he said, anytime that like you have someone place an objection on your consultation call, or someone says something you don't agree with in Messenger, just make a post about it, and then oftentimes they can't argue with it. People, one reason why they have what's called posted prices is because people don't necessarily haggle or negotiate with it. Back in the days of like markets, people would say, okay, I will sell you this camera battery charger for $5. And someone would say, I actually think it's worth $3. And then you go back and forth, and then whoever was like the better negotiator would get the price they want, or they meet in the middle. Nowadays, when you go to Walmart, they have this like label on it, right? And most people don't ever haggle or negotiate with the label. There's no law saying you can't, but since it's actually written and it's posted, people don't tend to argue with it. So it's the same thing when you start making content where you're educating people on why they should work with you. No one's going to argue with it. Now, there are some people that might say like you're wrong, but those are not necessarily going to be your buyers. The buyers are the ones that consume, understand it, and then they kind of go with it from there. Okay? So that's posting. That should be like the base cornerstone of your basically your marketing campaign. Now, if you don't know how to like write, okay, we do teach inside of our program how to like write posts like that, or you don't even have to take that long. Like, there's a lot of AI tools. If you understand how to utilize what AI spits out and you can like make it into a cohesive post, then that can be really helpful. But it does take a little bit of skill. Excuse me. throat's kind of messed up today. It's all this dry air. It's dry air, and I have the heater on in the office, so it's actually very funny. Next thing. Let me switch the microphone. Next thing is social media. Okay, so when we think about social media, the big social medias are like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Now, personally, for me, the easiest ones to grow on are not the easiest ones to get clients from. Okay, it's a very, very interesting distinction. So, for example, it's very easy to go on TikTok and grow. You just make a couple like 1-minute videos with you doing something funny, cool, just random, and like it will show it to a lot of people, right? If you're an attractive person, people are like, oh, I like this person, let me follow this person, right? Real easy. But those are not necessarily people that are going to want to work with you because you just haven't consumed enough, and you can't really tell what size their business is, right? However, when you're on like a LinkedIn or a Facebook, it's a little bit easier to kind of do that because on Facebook, for example, you can look at their business page. You can kind of see if they have special work projects. You can see if they have like big clientele. You can see if they've won their clients a lot of money, if they're like a lawyer, for example. And you kind of guesstimate. Same thing on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you can kind of like get an understanding of their revenue level. You can understand like what is their build of their company. Do they have people already in place that do accounting and bookkeeping? And it just makes things very easy for you to be able to kind of build an audience. Now, another thing too is that I like social media better than I like cold calling or something like that because I'll give you an example. So sometimes what happens when you do cold calling is like, you might get a burst of energy. You're like calling. And, it's cool. And it's like, maybe you get one client, maybe you get someone who wants to book a call. But as soon as you stop and you put the phone down, what happens is that your prospecting or your outreach ends up just stopping. It completely goes to zero. So then every time that you want to get a new client, you have to go pick back up the phone and basically spend a bunch of energy to go and get the call booked. Which is not that it's a bad thing, but it doesn't have a long tail effect. And again, the whole purpose of what we do here is we want it to get easier to grow, to get clients, to move from there. Because again, like we want to put the emphasis on running a bookkeeping business. I want to be doing the monthly work. If you're doing tax plan, I want to be doing the tax plan. I want to be doing the, let's say the CFO services, right? I don't want to be spending all of my time marketing. And this might sound weird coming from Bryce because Bryce is like the marketing guy. I'm really not the marketing guy. Like, yes, I'm good at marketing and stuff like that, but it's more about the overall business. It's like how to price your services, how to do sales, how to do marketing, how to efficiently do the work, right? It's like really about running the business because there's going to come a time to where you hit your income goal, and then as long as you can maintain your current client, like don't let them all drop off or whatever, which is very rare that's going to happen, but, as long as you maintain that clientele, you don't really need to keep doing marketing, So it's like, if you can really understand that and master that and just get good enough at marketing to where you can bring in enough clients to hit your revenue goal, that's all the marketing skills that you need to do. Like, oftentimes, like, I routinely tell the students in our mentorship program, like, so usually what happens, okay, one of the students in the program will find a methodology that we teach, and we teach like 7 different ways to go and get clients. But out of the 7, they will find 2 to 3 methodologies that work exponentially better for them than anything else they try. And from there, it's okay, so I want you to focus on, out of those 3 that work, focus on the 2 that work the best. Okay, you run that to go get an extra like 2 to 4 clients or an extra, 3 to 5K per month. And then from there, you do the one that worked really, really well, and you have the second one in reserve just in case something happens to the first option. Like for example, let's say that you were doing like Instagram to grow. If your Instagram account ever gets deleted or whatever, okay, well now you have that second one kind of in reserve that can just pick up the slack. And then from there, you just use like time in the game and time of doing the exact same thing that works to go hit your revenue goal. And then it's just like, so it's very, very smooth how it works, but it's just like to find that pattern of what works really well for you. That's kind of the tricky challenge that a lot of people I don't think really understand how to kind of do. Cool. Next thing, so networking referral strategies. So this is actually a very, very 50-50 kind of mix. So networking can work very well. It's just some people don't do well with networking. Okay, I know that sounds like weird and crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, if it works well, why does it not work for every person? Well, not every single person reacts the same to every individual. What do I mean by that? So, I'll give you a story. In my life, I used to be very, very, very like, I was like an immovable force. No, I was like a ferocious wind that would come through any situation that I would go through. If I needed something to happen and I had a person like who worked like front desk or someone that could help me out, I was figuring out a way to get them to help me to kind of like move. But then as I've gotten older, I don't necessarily need to do that. It naturally kind of happens because I slow down. I'm a lot easier, right? So I'll give you an example. So I was needing to get this like sleep study done because like my breathing is not very good when I sleep, right? It leads to me having like low energy. Now, the reason why this story why is this story even relevant? Because I was trying to get this sleep study done to see like what was going on. It's like, is my sleep really messed up or like what's kind of going on? So I went inside of there and basically the lady at the front desk was like, okay, cool. So the next appointment is going to be like in 6 months from now. I'm like, 6 months from now? I need to figure this thing out now. Like, what's going on? What are we talking about? And I just like politely asked her, like in my objection handling voice, hey, so, I understand like 6 months, that's kind of a long time. Like, is there any way that like maybe we can kind of like get me a little bit faster? And then she like paused and all of a sudden she goes, actually, let me make a call. And she made like 2 calls and got me in 3 days later. So from a 6-month wait to 3 days later. Now some people can argue because like it's like, well, you just didn't take no for an answer. So of course you don't take no for an answer, then you're gonna get what you want in life. It's like, yes, I historically I would agree with you, yes. However, what I've started noticing is that people want to help people that are nice and are good, right? The better you are with people, the better you are in life, the more that people actually want to help you out. So, but I was taking that for granted because I was like, I always thought it was like, it was my skill set of being able to get people to move and do and like help me out with what I wanted. But really, what it actually is that people just respond better to me than other people. And that happens for a lot of people. So it's like 50% of people, like, if you've never had someone like give you a free like $20 bill or free $500 bills when you didn't even earn it, then you might not have that as your superpower. Not to be mean, I'm just kind of being honest, right? So you have to work at doing networking in order, like you have to work at learning how to build that familiarity of people so that you can start getting that effect, right? Of people helping you, people wanting to give you stuff. Like we've had students in our program where literally at their church they were speaking to a business owner and that business owner literally referred them 20 people in the span of like a month, right? That's not normal. So that's why networking can be very hit or miss for most people. Now, one thing that is a little bit easier for most people to kind of get a hang of is referral partnerships. Now, I like referral partnerships for most people because as long as you can find someone who can take a liking to you, you'll end up getting referrals from these people, and oftentimes it allows your business growth to be a little bit more exponential because they have put in the time, the work, and the relationships to go basically meet all these different people. And then from there, they connect you with the right ones who will like you because they like the referral partner. And it makes everything so much easier and you just grow your business like that. So yeah, so that's why I like referral partnerships. Now, in terms of getting referral partnerships, you can utilize any social media platform that you want. So one misconception people have is that like the only referral partners are like CPAs. Now, it's not bad to go after CPAs in the beginning. It's just, it is a little bit more competitive than what it used to be. If this was like 2020, 2019, I would say like, no, you can just reach out to CPAs. Even actually taking a step back, even back then, people would think about reaching out to CPAs and they would have trouble with that. Now that I think out loud, like a conversation flashed in my mind with this like one young lady. She's no longer in business because we ended up not working together in our mentorship program. But I remember seeing like in her Facebook Messenger, she was like, "Yeah, I'm reaching out to this CPA and like they're gonna give me like XYZ clients and like this. Like, well, based on the way you're speaking and like you haven't even met this person, they're probably not gonna take a liking to you to actually give you the clients." Like, I wasn't being rude. I was just being honest. I didn't tell her that, but that's what I'm thinking in my mind. Like, sometimes there's, like, stuff you think in your mind. You're not going to tell the person that because you don't want to be offensive. But it's, like, it's interesting. It's oftentimes the people that are, like, the most confident that are, like, the worst at something. Like I'm not. I'm not necessarily speaking from experience, but like yeah, like I was like for a lot of stuff in like my life, I was super delusional. Like I used to think what was the thing? Actually no. I One secret about me is that I will only brag about stuff that I'm good at because I like to win. So the argument can be made that like yes, I can be delusional, like thinking like okay, I'm gonna like be the best like skydive person ever. I've never done the skydive, but I'm not gonna say that out loud because I don't want people to think that and that I'm not good at it and that I lose, right? So only time that you're gonna hear me brag about something is something that I know I'm really good at or something I've tried before. That way I'm always right, you know? but but yeah, so it's not just a secret code you have to like CPAs. The real secret when it comes to sorry, I'm playing around with all these like with these coins. The real secret is to figure out who is your ideal client. So let's say it's either a specific dollar range, a specific industry, a specific personality. And from there, your job is to look at all the different vendors that come into contact with those people who either have authority over them or they have a friendship with them, right? So I'll give you an example. So let's say that you're talking to a business owner that's like in construction. And you found out they recently joined a sales coaching program from a company called Sandler, right? That's like an old school kind of like sales and marketing kind of like program. Generally, it's for like really established companies, and like I think it's like between like 20 to 50,000 per year. Now, from there, you could go and form a partnership with a business coach like Sandler, and then they could start sending you clients because when they tell people to do stuff, the business owner generally listens, right? Because they just paid Sandler money to tell them what to do and how to think. So that would be one example. Another example, let's say that you're talking to churches, for example. Right, like that's your target market. I had a student in our mentorship program who was like main target market was churches because his dad owned a church and he was like really really high in like church and stuff like that. So this guy basically had networking and referral partnerships with other pastors, right? So since he was going after churches, if a pastor likes you and a pastor owns a church and he has friends that also own churches, if he recommends you, you have your foot in the door and it makes things moving really quickly. Awesome. Excuse me, sorry, my throat's just kind of still messed up. Next thing is running paid advertisements. So, Facebook and Google Ads for accountants. So, if you're just getting started, I probably would not do this. Like 90% of the time, I would not do this if you're just getting started, right? Because like most people, what's going to happen is like you're probably going to spend like $100 to $300. Now, on Facebook ads, they have what's called a marketing pixel. It's basically a tracking code where every single time a person takes an action on a landing page or a website, it records and sends information to Facebook. The first $1,000 you spend on a Facebook ad is just telling that pixel who is a bad fit, who's a good fit. You're probably not going to get any sales from that, right? So it's like that's why over time people who spend a lot of money on Facebook ads generally get a really, really, really better results than people who spend a little bit of money on ads. So, and I'll tell you a different perspective. So, the past like 3 or 4 years, I was spending like $60,000 a year on ads for like different like stuff I was doing inside my business, and what that did was it gave me really, really, really informed data for my marketing pixel. So nowadays, whenever I run ads very, very, very low budget. So like I'll spend anywhere between like $500 to like $2,000 a month, and I will get the same result, if not better, than when I was spending $60,000 a year. So I literally cut my advertising expense by anywhere between like 3 to 4x, but I'm still getting the same amount of outcome. And it's not just because the ads are better, but it's because my pixel is so trained now that it can take a dollar and it can find people that are potentially like clients from that dollar worth of spend. But if I was just starting out and I tried to spend $1, it would not be enough data for them to understand. Like to put it in perspective, my marketing pixel has basically seen 5 million people respond to my ad positively and negatively. And from there, it can basically do like a mental math or mental model inside of its head, right? Because all Pixel is like, it's like AI code that like Facebook is using to understand who to show your ad to. It can basically show who it should send to, no matter how much money I spend. So I can spend a penny and I can still get leads that are actually like really high quality. But if you don't have that, you have to build that up, right? So for most people, I would not recommend doing paid ads because you just don't have enough money or budget to spend. In the beginning, for a Facebook ad, it could cost you anywhere between like $750 to about $1,500 for a client. I've seen people pay up to $2,500 for one client before. Right, I would not advise you pay $2,500 for one client because that means you have to make sure that you can get the $2,500 back with your clients. Now, most people, if you don't have your pricing right and you're only charging we'll say $250 a month, you're not gonna be able to recoup that investment for at least a year. That's a little bit dangerous to kind of do. Dangerous game to play. But if you are a little more experienced, and there's different things we can show you inside of our mentorship program. Now, there are other types of advertisements you can run. It just kind of depends on your budget. The minimum budget I would probably suggest for running for advertisement would be probably about $500, but it would be more buying leads. It wouldn't be advertising the advertising method most people think. Most people think you just started running a Facebook ad and you get clients, but that's, again, it's going to cost you more money. So if you just go instead try and buy leads, it's not the best because a lot of leads you buy are going to be bad leads. It's going to be you pick up the phone and try and call the lead, and it'll be don, bad number. You know what I mean? So it's better than nothing, and it can be faster. However, it's not a silver bullet. Right, everything that you do is more like golden BBs, bunch of little golden BBs that you can shoot off. It's not a silver bullet that's gonna just pierce the heart of all of the villain, which is growing your business. Right. Cool. Boom, 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 boom. Awesome. Now, this has been, I think, a little bit of a longer video. I think it's 26 minutes long. If this is stuff that you've been thinking about doing but it's just not quite working for you, or maybe you've been thinking about starting your business but it's just, I don't know, it's just, there's so much stuff that's sitting in front of you where it's the more videos you watch online, the more you're wow, there's a lot to this stuff. I want to just let you know that it doesn't have to be very complicated. If you join our mentorship program, we can just walk you through what should you be doing in a step-by-step manner so that you can get to your goal a lot faster, right? You see our testimonials, you see a lot of our videos where the students are getting wins faster. It's not that they're moving so fast. It's not that they are that they're supernatural, they're superhuman, or they're different than you. It's just they're doing the right things in a very concentrated manner over time that allows them to reach the projected goal, right? It's almost like working with a personal trainer, right? Where it's I can give you the tools, I can give you the exercise, I can give you the workout, the meal plan, and as long as you follow through and you're not lazy, then you go and hit a certain goal because it's all based on statistics and based on mathematics. It's not based on hope. So if you feel that if you had a hand in your success and you want someone who can help you reach your goals, click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside our mentorship program. Okay? I'll talk to you soon. Hopefully have a good rest of your day. If you want to do the call, I'll see you there. If not, I will see you inside the next video. Take it easy.